My beloved friends, life is the most precious gift that God has placed in your hands. You were not created by accident, nor are you here to merely survive, to simply eat, sleep, work, and die. You were created with divine purpose, designed with heavenly potential, and chosen to live a life that reflects the greatness of your Creator. You have one life, just one, and it is far too valuable to waste in mediocrity. Mediocrity is the silent killer of dreams. It whispers, just be comfortable. Don't push too hard. Don't believe for more. It tells you that average is safe, that ordinary is acceptable, and that playing small will protect you from failure. But the truth is, mediocrity robs you of your destiny long before failure ever could. God never called you to be average. He called you to be fruitful, to be excellent, to shine as a light in a world that has settled for dimness. You see, every person who has changed the world, every believer who has left a legacy, began as someone who refused to settle. They looked at their circumstances and said, there must be more. They looked at the limits around them and believed, my God is greater. The power that raised Christ from the dead lives in you. That means your potential is not defined by your education, your background, or your resources. It is defined by the one who lives in you. There are people who wake up every morning and complain about their situation, yet they never dare to dream, never dare to pray big prayers, never dare to step into faith. But faith is what turns an ordinary life into an extraordinary one. Faith says, I will not live in fear. I will not live small. I will believe for the impossible. Faith looks at the mountain and says, move, and the mountain obeys. Don't be content with just existing. Don't live your days wishing for a better tomorrow while doing nothing to create it. Life is too short to spend in comfort zones. The comfort zone is beautiful, but nothing ever grows there. You have to be willing to step into the unknown, to take risks, to dream dreams so big that only God can make them come true. When you trust Him completely, He will take your ordinary life and make it extraordinary. When you were born, God deposited in you gifts, talents, and abilities that the world needs. You may think your contribution is small, but when you surrender it to God, He multiplies it. A small seed, when planted, becomes a tree. A simple act of obedience can spark revival. A single prayer can shift your future. You have one life. Make it count for something eternal. The problem is that too many people let fear or failure define them. They say, I tried once and it didn't work. They allow rejection, disappointment, or delay to bury their purpose. But even if you failed 1,000 times, get up again. God has not finished with you. As long as you have breath, you have purpose. Every setback is an opportunity for a greater comeback. Every pain is preparation for greater glory. Don't compare your life to others. You are not meant to copy. You are meant to create. You are not here to fit in. You are here to stand out. The world doesn't need another imitation. It needs your authentic, God-inspired voice. You are the answer to someone's prayer. You are the light in someone's darkness. You are the vessel through which God wants to reveal His power. So lift your head high. Shake off every excuse. Refuse to live small when you serve a big God. Stop saying, I can't, and start saying, with God, all things are possible. The life of mediocrity ends the moment you start believing that you were made for greatness, not man's definition of greatness, but God's. Live with purpose, speak with faith, work with excellence, love with passion, give with joy, dream with boldness, and never, ever settle for less than the fullness of what God has prepared for you. You have one life. Live it in such a way that heaven rejoices, hell trembles, and generations after you are inspired to believe for more. You were created with divine purpose. Never accept an average life. From the very moment God breathed life into you, He placed within you a spark of greatness that carries His image and intention. You are not the result of chance or coincidence. You are the result of divine design. Every detail of your being, every gift, every talent, and every dream that stirs your heart was crafted for a purpose far beyond what you can see right now. When you understand that your life carries eternal value, you begin to live differently. You begin to rise above mediocrity, because mediocrity is an insult to divine creation. God never formed anyone to live an average life, to simply survive and fade away. He formed you to reflect His glory in all that you do, to become a living testimony of His power, wisdom, and love. When a person forgets their divine origin, they start living below their potential. They conform to the patterns of this world, chasing approval, comfort, and material satisfaction while their soul cries for meaning. But when you realize you were created by a God of excellence, you can no longer be satisfied with an average existence. You begin to sense that there is something more, a deeper calling that pulls you beyond the boundaries of the ordinary. You understand that your days are not to be wasted in routine comfort, but invested in fulfilling a divine purpose that impacts, lives, and glorifies God. The Creator who made galaxies also made you with intention. The same power that designed the universe designed your path, and He placed inside you the capacity to think, to create, to lead, to influence, to heal, to build, and to love. You are not a mistake, and you are not limited by your past, your education, or your environment. The only limit is the one you place on yourself when you stop believing in the greatness that God has placed within you. Every time you settle for less than what you were made for, you silence that divine whisper calling you to rise. Every time you accept fear or failure as your destiny, you deny the Creator's purpose for your life. Greatness is not about fame or wealth. It is about living fully in alignment with the purpose God gave you. It means waking up each morning with passion, knowing your life is part of something eternal. It means serving others, creating impact, using your talents with excellence, and representing God's character in your actions. Even in small tasks, there is room to display divine purpose. When you work with integrity, love people sincerely, and pursue growth with faith, you are walking in the excellence of your Creator. Many people live and die without discovering who they truly are because they allow mediocrity to wrap itself around them like a comfort blanket. They fear rejection, so they hide their gifts. They fear failure, so they never take the first step. But mediocrity is not comfort. It is captivity. It keeps you small when God has called you to expand. It keeps you quiet when God has placed a message in your heart. It keeps you still when your destiny requires motion. The moment you decide that your life belongs to God's purpose, mediocrity loses its grip. When you understand divine purpose, even challenges begin to look different. You no longer see difficulties as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. You begin to recognize that every test refines your character, every struggle builds your strength, and every delay prepares your heart for greater things. You begin to trust that the path may not always be easy, but it is always meaningful. You find peace in knowing that your life is guided by divine wisdom, and that every moment has value in the eyes of God. You were not created to blend in. You were created to shine. There is a light within you that the world desperately needs to see. There is a dream within you that heaven itself has ordained. To live an average life is to hide that light and bury that dream. But to live with divine purpose is to let your light shine before men so that they may see God through you. When you walk in your purpose, you inspire others to rise into theirs. You remind them that they too were created for more than mediocrity, that they too carry the mark of divine greatness within their souls. Mediocrity kills dreams, faith ignites greatness. Every person begins life with dreams, pure, powerful visions placed deep within the soul by the Creator Himself. Those dreams are not random desires, they are seeds of destiny waiting to be nurtured through faith. But the moment mediocrity enters, those dreams begin to fade. Mediocrity is subtle. It convinces you to settle for less, to choose comfort over calling, to accept limitation instead of believing for abundance. It tells you that ordinary is enough, that you are safe where you are, and that aiming high is too risky. But mediocrity does not protect you. It imprisons you. It keeps your potential locked away, hidden behind excuses and fear, while faith calls you to step out and see what God can truly do through you. Faith is the fire that awakens the greatness within. When you believe, you give life to the impossible. When you trust, you invite the power of God into your limitations. Faith does not look at circumstances, it looks at promises. It does not focus on what the eyes can see, but on what the heart knows is possible through God. Faith says, even when I don't see the way, I know there is a way. It pushes you to take steps that seem unreasonable, to dream dreams that seem unreachable, to build what has never been built before. The greatest lives in history were not lived by those who accepted the average. They were lived by those who believed that the invisible could become visible through faith. When faith fills the heart, it breaks the chains of fear. It silences the voice that says, "You can't," and replaces it with God. All things are possible. It shifts your mindset from survival to significance. It gives you courage to rise even after failure, to persevere even when doors close, to believe again even after disappointment. Faith refuses to settle because it knows the God who calls you is faithful to complete what He started in you. Every time you choose faith over fear, you declare that your life will not be defined by mediocrity, but by the miraculous power of God working through you. Mediocrity thrives in doubt. It tells you to be realistic, to lower your expectations, to play it safe. But faith refuses to bow to what is seen. It rises above logic and embraces divine possibility. Faith sees opportunity where others see obstacles. Faith sees harvest where others see barren ground. Faith sees victory where others see defeat. The moment you stop settling and start believing, heaven begins to move on your behalf. The impossible starts to align with your obedience. The doors that seemed closed begin to open. The path that seemed uncertain becomes clear because faith makes the unseen real. Those who walk in mediocrity often wait for perfect conditions before they act, but faith acts first. Faith moves even when the storm is raging. Faith speaks life in the face of death, hope in the face of despair, and victory in the face of failure. It does not wait for evidence. It creates evidence through action. The difference between those who achieve greatness and those who remain average is not talent, wealth, or opportunity. It is faith. Faith dares to step where others stand still. Faith dares to believe when others doubt. So faith dares to start when others fear to begin. Every time you choose faith, you partner with God's power. You begin to see how small steps can lead to great change. A word spoken in faith can heal a broken heart. A prayer offered in faith can open heaven's favor. A dream pursued in faith can transform generations. But the moment you allow mediocrity to whisper that you are not enough, that it is too late, or that it cannot be done, you begin to shrink the vision that God placed inside you. Greatness is never born in the comfort of mediocrity. It is born in the fire of faith. Faith transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. It turns a shepherd into a king, a fisherman into an apostle, a timid soul into a world changer. Faith is not just belief, it is movement. It is the inner conviction that God is bigger than the mountain in front of you. When you live by faith, you live in alignment with heaven's power, and that power refuses to let you stay small. Mediocrity says, "This is enough." Faith says, "There is more." Mediocrity stops at the edge of fear. Faith walks through it. Mediocrity stays silent. Faith speaks and creates. Mediocrity accepts average. Faith demands excellence. And through faith, the greatness planted within you begins to flourish into all that God intended it to be. God placed limitless potential within you. Believe and act on it. Inside every person is a divine reservoir of power waiting to be awakened. You were not created to live a life of limitation, fear, or doubt. From the moment you took your first breath, heaven invested something priceless within you, potential that reflects the very nature of God Himself. You carry gifts that the world has never seen before, ideas that can transform lives, and strengths that can overcome any challenge. But potential alone is not enough. It must be activated through belief and action. When you believe in what God has placed inside you, you unlock doors that others only dream of walking through. So many people live their entire lives unaware of the greatness hidden within them. They look around and assume that others are more capable, more talented, or more worthy of success. But the truth is, God has no favorites. He empowers all who trust in Him. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead dwells in you. That means you are never powerless, never ordinary, never empty. The only reason potential remains unused is that people doubt it. They listen to fear more than faith, to excuses more than purpose, and to limitations more than possibility. But the moment you decide to believe what God says about you, your life begins to change. Belief is the key that unlocks divine potential. It shifts your focus from what you lack to what you possess. It reminds you that you are equipped, anointed, and chosen for a purpose far beyond your imagination. When you believe, you begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You start to rise above circumstances because your confidence is no longer in yourself, but in the one who works through you. God's power is not limited by your weakness. In fact, His strength is made perfect there. He can take what seems insignificant and use it to accomplish something extraordinary. But He will not force your potential to grow. You must act on it with faith. Action is the proof of belief. You can pray, dream, and hope all you want, but until you move, your potential remains dormant. Every great thing begins with a step of faith, a decision to act even when the outcome is uncertain. The door to your destiny will not open until you reach out and turn the handle. Acting on your potential means doing what you can with what you have, trusting that as you move, God will multiply your efforts. Just as a seed must be planted to grow, your potential must be exercised through obedience and courage. When you take one small step, heaven takes 1,000 toward you. Fear often tries to convince you that you are not ready, that you need more time, more skill, or more approval. But potential grows only when it is used. You will never discover your strength until you face resistance. You will never uncover your creativity until you take risks. You will never find your voice until you speak. Every challenge you face is not meant to break you, but to reveal what God already placed within you. The more you act, the more you realize that your capacity is far greater than you imagined. The enemy's greatest weapon is to keep you still, because movement fueled by faith terrifies him. You must understand that your potential is not for you alone. It is a divine deposit meant to bless others, to inspire, to lift, to heal, and to build. When you use your potential, you glorify God by reflecting His excellence. Every talent, every skill, every ounce of creativity you express is an act of worship. The world needs what God has placed in you. Someone's breakthrough, someone's hope, someone's answer may be waiting on your obedience to act. When you hide your potential, you deprive the world of the gift God designed you to release. You have within you the ability to change your world, but it begins with a decision to believe that you are who God says you are and to act as if His promises are true. The same hands that shaped the universe formed you with care and purpose. You are not lacking anything essential to fulfill your destiny. Every resource you need is already inside you, waiting to be stirred by faith and activated through action. Believe in what God has invested in you and refuse to bury your potential under fear, doubt, or complacency. You carry the seeds of greatness within your soul, and when you choose to act on them with faith, that greatness will begin to flourish and transform everything around you. Comfort zones destroy growth, bold steps release destiny. The comfort zone feels safe, because it is familiar, predictable, and controllable, but it is also the place where dreams die quietly. It is where faith weakens, creativity fades, and potential remains buried. Nothing extraordinary ever happens inside comfort. Growth requires discomfort. Progress demands risks. Every person who has ever accomplished something meaningful had to step beyond the boundaries of safety and enter the realm of faith, where uncertainty becomes the soil for miracles. The moment you decide to step out of what is comfortable, you give God permission to move in ways that will astonish you. Comfort zones make people believe that stability is success, but true success is not comfort. It is purpose fulfilled. When you live in the comfort zone, you trade your divine calling for temporary ease. You may feel secure for a time, but deep inside, your spirit will sense the emptiness of unfulfilled purpose. Growth happens only when you stretch beyond what feels easy, when you dare to do something that scares you, when you trust God enough to walk on the water instead of sitting safely in the boat. Every bold step forward in faith is an act of surrender to divine direction, and it is in that surrender that destiny unfolds. Many people pray for God to change their lives, yet they resist the very changes that would bring transformation. They want new blessings while holding on to old habits. They desire growth but refuse to leave behind what is comfortable. God cannot take you higher if you are clinging to where you are. Sometimes He has to make your comfort zone uncomfortable so that you will move. When you start feeling restless in a place that once felt safe, it may be a sign that God is calling you to something greater. The stirring inside you is not confusion. It is preparation. He is preparing you to step out in faith and trust that His hand will sustain you even when you cannot see the next step. Bold steps are not taken without fear, but they are taken in spite of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward even when your knees shake. When you choose to act boldly, you shift your trust from yourself to God. You say, I may not know how this will work, but I know who walks with me. Every great destiny begins with a single brave decision. Abraham left his home not knowing where he was going, but he trusted the promise. Moses confronted Pharaoh with only a staff in his hand, but faith in his heart. Peter stepped out of the boat and walked toward Jesus, even while the waves crashed around him. None of them saw the full picture, but their boldness released divine power. Remaining in the comfort zone limits what God can do through you. He cannot pour new wine into old wineskins. He cannot expand what you refuse to stretch. When you step out, He steps in. The bold step that terrifies you today may be the very thing that unlocks your purpose tomorrow. The miracle you are waiting for is often waiting on your movement. God never calls you to something that doesn't require faith, because faith is what connects your human effort to His supernatural power. Every time you take a bold step, you break chains of fear, insecurity, and doubt. You begin to see yourself not as weak or unworthy, but as a vessel of divine strength. Boldness changes the way you think, speak, and act. It pushes you to dream bigger, to pray bolder, to expect more, and to live with conviction. Growth will stretch you, but it will also shape you into who you were created to be. Every challenge becomes training for the next level of destiny. Every step outside your comfort zone prepares you for greater influence and deeper faith. The comfort zone will always whisper, "Stay where it's safe." But destiny shouts, "There is more." God cannot reveal new levels of your potential while you remain in old patterns of safety. You must be willing to walk by faith and not by sight, to move even when the path is unclear, and to trust that your obedience will lead to something greater than you imagined. Growth may cost you comfort, but it will give you purpose. The bold steps you take today will become the foundation of your future, and every time you choose faith over fear, you draw closer to the destiny that has been waiting for you all along. You have one life. Live it with passion, excellence, and eternal purpose. Life is a sacred gift, a divine opportunity to write your story with intention and faith. Every sunrise is a reminder that your time on earth is limited and precious, that each breath is a chance to make a difference, to touch hearts, and to fulfill the calling God has placed within you. You do not get another version of this life, so you must live it with purpose that reaches beyond survival and touches eternity. Living with passion means waking up each day with a fire in your heart, refusing to drift aimlessly or waste your days in distraction. It means doing everything with love, enthusiasm, and a deep awareness that your life matters to God and to the people around you. Excellence is not perfection. It is giving your best in all you do, God's, knowing that your work is a reflection of the one who created you. When you live with excellence, you honor God through your actions. You serve with sincerity, speak with integrity, and approach your responsibilities with diligence and grace. Excellence sets you apart in a world where mediocrity has become normal. It is not about competition, but about commitment. To keep improving, to learn, to grow, and to give your best effort in everything. Whether it is in your work, your relationships, your ministry, or your personal growth, excellence transforms ordinary moments into opportunities for impact. The spirit of excellence glorifies God because it shows the world that what you do is rooted in divine purpose. Passion without direction leads to burnout, but passion guided by eternal purpose leads to fulfillment. Eternal purpose means aligning your life with what lasts beyond this world: love, faith, service, truth, and compassion. It means understanding that every choice you make, every word you speak, and every act you perform carries eternal weight. You are not living just for yourself, but for the kingdom of God. You were designed to leave a mark that time cannot erase. When you live for eternal purpose, you measure success not by possessions or applause, but by how faithfully you have obeyed your calling and how deeply you have loved others. You begin to see life as a divine mission rather than a personal pursuit. Many people waste their one life chasing things that fade, wealth that cannot satisfy, approval that never lasts, achievements that soon lose meaning. They climb ladders that lead nowhere, only to realize too late that they traded their passion for security and their calling for comfort. But those who live with eternal purpose see every challenge as an opportunity to grow, every blessing as a reason to give, and every day as a gift to serve. They understand that passion without eternity is noise, and excellence without purpose is vanity. What gives life meaning is not how long you live, but how deeply you live, how fully you give, and how faithfully you follow the path God has set before you. To live your one life well, you must guard your heart from apathy and fear. Apathy steals passion, and fear steals purpose. The world will always try to distract you, to fill your days with noise and comparison. But you must keep your eyes fixed on what truly matters. When you live with passion, you wake up expecting God to move. When you live with excellence, you give your all as an act of worship. When you live with eternal purpose, you find peace that no success or failure can shake. Your energy, your time, and your gifts are investments in eternity. And every moment lived with intention becomes a seed that bears lasting fruit. There is only one chance to live this life, and it is too precious to waste on regret or mediocrity. Live with passion that inspires others, with excellence that honors God, and with purpose that reaches beyond the temporary. Let your words bring life, your actions bring hope, and your faith bring light to those in darkness. When you live with this awareness, your days become meaningful, your work becomes worship, and your legacy becomes eternal. You have one life, and what you do with it echoes beyond time, shaping not only your destiny, but the destiny of generations yet to come.